Good.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the February 21st, 2017 Board of Selectmen meeting. May I have a roll call, please, sir?
Yes, President, Selectman Scasiotti, Selectman Tropiano, Chairman Whiteside, and Clerk Titlebaum. We're waiting on the town administrator. Town council will not be here tonight, and the chairman has granted permission for Selectman Slavin to call in via remote participation.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Baptiste, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements, Mr. Scasiotti?
None, thank you.
All set.
All set, Mr. Tropiano. Mr. Titlebaum?
None?
Mr. Slavin?
None.
Thank you. I don't have any either. Citizens' comments? Do I see anybody who would like to address the board? Citizens' comments, citizens' participation?
Down the back.
No?
Judy?
No,
Yeah,
we
I
got
see.
a guy right there.
Mr. Nyman? You need to
gotta
step
come up to the
forward
mic.
and identify yourself for the record, sir.
John Nyman, 1082 Main Street.
No, you need to, I'm sorry, Johnny. You need to sit.
Have a seat, have a seat,
Have a
speak
seat
right into the
and speak right
microphone.
into the mic, please, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Identify yourself for the record again.
John Nyman, 1082 Main Street, West Wareham. And I'm here to address the board to find out what the plans are with the Tremont Dam behind my house and how I could go about approaching or figuring out if we could have a lease, because we've been doing some footwork and realized when it was, when they shut the door with the key, that one of the turbines actually worked at that time, and that the dam has had a lot of work done to it. Structurally, around the toe has been rebuilt and things have happened. Whereas if the FERC license runs out, I understand it's coming up this year, we'll lose that license, which is, I think it's over $1 million. And then nothing could happen to it after that. So the only way that we could try to revive it or have it work is to apply for grants and have a certain amount of time where we could revive it and work on it in the spring when the water's low and the cranberry growers don't need it. And I've talked to a few people about it, and they said that different cranberry growers and people were very interested, but just we didn't know which way to approach it. So I've tried to go to see town administrator, and he's very busy, and I've approached people, so I called the selectman's office, and I just wasn't able to, so I figured this was my best bet. So I've flooded people with phone calls today to figure out how I could address this.
Mr. Sullivan will answer your question,
Okay.
if there is a question, how to go about.
Oh, you want to do it tonight?
Well, he's asked the question.
Yeah, but just if you want me,
Have to do some research.
no, we don't have to do research, but if you want to go against the way we do it with citizens' participation, just,
You're right. In order for you to get an answer, I'm sorry. Mr.
but I'll do
Sullivan.
it, but it's just,
No, I
the
understand.
gentleman's come up, he has reached out to us, so
Yes,
I'm
he
more
has.
than willing, but it's just let me know that you want.
Um,
So I'll let you know, we do have a company, as I believe my admin has told you, that we're working with. We're taking a look at the turbines. We have a quote to have somebody take a look at them, because we need to put this out to procurement. Now, I understand your answer was, then it will never happen. But
I didn't know that. I just didn't know if we had time, because I know that there are grants. I've been told there are grants available, and my partner back here, Kevin Black, is very educated in this type of stuff. He's rebuilt all the substations and stuff when he was electrical engineer. So we know that it takes time to do that. So if we don't get the ball rolling and try, and I overlooked I looked over a couple things, paperwork that I wasn't sure how you could get things rolling, but there was a lease before on the place, and it gave the town a certain amount of the percentage of the electricity that it produced would get the money. And in order to move forward with anything like that, we'd have to know what the town was willing to offer before you could try to put together a quote.
You couldn't do it that way. We'd have to go through procurement. The town wouldn't make an offer. Who's ever bidding on it would have to make the offers. And we couldn't do this in a conversation like that. The laws don't allow that.
Okay.
So I need to ask you to please make an appointment to see Mr. Sullivan.
Okay. When does the license run out? When is the FERC?
I need to ask you to.
There is actually no expiration date on it. Our next, every year, we do surveys of the property, the status with FERC. That's in July. I think that's what you're thinking about. However, FERC licenses that have lain dormant, such as this has, could be up for being taken away. We have a new administration that may not let things lay dormant, if you will. However, there's no expiration of it this year.
So, once again, can you make an appointment?
Sure.
Thank you.
I can try.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
Nice to
Thank
see
you very much.
Thanks. Take care.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the Board of Selectmen under citizens' participation? No? Okay. I'm going to do the presentation of oh, we don't have any licenses and permits.
No.
Blah, blah. I'm going to do the presentations of the certificates in reverse order, only because I think there are fewer people on the last one listed and more on the first one listed, but I don't really know. So could we have a representative of Damien's Pantry step forward and have a seat?
Hello.
Hi. May we have your names, please?
I'm Donna Mountain. Rosemary Lackey.
Hi, Rosemary. How are you?
Good.
Good. The Board of Selectmen from Wareham, Massachusetts awards this certificate of recognition to the family pantry, Damien's Place. The mission of Damien's Pantry is to provide both perishable and non-perishable foodstuff to those in need, so that no person goes to bed hungry. The pantry was founded in 1992 because two local men, Father Gabriel Healy, SSCC, and Father Tom McElroy, SSCC, addressed the needs of the poor in the Wareham and Greater New Bedford area. The pantry started with many volunteers, some of whom years later continue the good work of the food insecure. Pantry is open 3 days a week from 9:30 to noon and is always looking for volunteers. Volunteers help stock shelves, distribute food, and record client visits, among many other jobs. The people who use Damien's Pantry must be income eligible as well as provide other eligibility requirements. Poverty is not a choice, and many who use the services of the pantry are elderly, as well as those who have no regular source of income. St. Damien, a member of the Society of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, spent many years working in a leper colony in Hawaii. Hansen's disease ultimately claimed Damien's life at the age of 49, as he ate and worked alongside those afflicted with the contagious disease. He is known as the martyr of charity. Therefore, Damien's Place is aptly named a refuge for those who need the basic necessities of food and compassion. We, the Wareham Board of Selectmen, salute the tireless work you and your volunteers have accomplished. We thank you for your efforts on behalf of the citizens of Wareham, past, present, and future, presented this 21st day of February 2017. Wareham Board of Selectmen, Judith Whiteside, Chairman, Peter W. Teitelbaum, Clerk, Patrick G. Tropiano, Alan H. Slavin, and Anthony R. Scasiotti, Jr. We will ask you to do a photo op with us after we do the other presentations, but we do want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Father Bills in Mainspring. Father Bills. Michael O'Neill? Yes. Oh, good evening. Board of Selectmen, Wareham, Massachusetts awards this certificate of recognition to Father Bills and Mainspring. Father Bills in Mainspring is committed to ending and preventing homelessness in southern Massachusetts with programs that provide emergency and permanent housing and help people obtain skills, jobs, and services. FBMS helps people who are struggling with homelessness or who are at risk of homelessness to achieve self-sufficiency. Father Bills in Mainspring, FBMS, was formed when two nonprofits merged in 2007. Father Bill's Place of Quincy, which was founded in 1984, and Mainspring Coalition for the Homeless of Brockton, which was founded in 1982, thereby combining strengths and gaining the capacity to respond regionally to the work of ending homelessness. Father Bill's Place was one of the first organizations in Massachusetts to pioneer an approach known as Housing First. Housing First is a nationally recognized best practice approach to ending homelessness for individuals with a history of chronic homelessness, who have significant disabilities, or challenges that are barriers to obtaining housing. The guiding principles of FBMS include: seek to be a supportive and compassionate presence for our neighbors who are homeless, provide services in a way that enables guests and residents to maintain their dignity and independence, maintain the highest level of professionalism in the delivery of services by both staff and volunteers, create partnerships with other nonprofit organizations, businesses, and government agencies to serve the needs of those struggling with homelessness, participate actively in advocacy and public policy discussions on issues of housing and homelessness. We, the Wareham Board of Selectmen, salute the tireless work of you and your members have accomplished. We thank you for your efforts on behalf of the citizens of Wareham, past, present, and future, and I will omit reading our names and the address.
Yeah.
And we will do a photo op with you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Send over the next one.
Pastor Shaw? And any other members of the Wareham Area Committee for the Homeless?
Is this the Knights of Hospitality? Or
No. Good evening. Wareham Area Committee for the Homeless. The Wareham Area Committee for the Homeless serves Buzzards Bay, Carver, Marion, Mattapoisett, Middleborough, Rochester, and Wareham. The mission of WACH is to be a resource center for persons who are homeless or have issues of impending homelessness. WACH provides services and programs designed to reduce homelessness in a safe, confidential, and supportive environment. Operating under the umbrella of WACH are Turning Point, Baby Point, and Health Point. All programs are administered at the Emmanuel Church of the Nazarene in Wareham. Funding is provided by grant money, individuals, organizations, and churches. WACH partners with the Salvation Army and the Community Resource Network, as well as other resources. Turning Point is a day resource center which serves the homeless and the near homeless by providing referrals, transportation, and assistance with temporary housing and counseling in regards to housing. Baby Point provides free essential baby items to mothers with infant and preschool children. Twice a month, BP provides diapers, wipes, and other items to those who qualify with WIC or Mass Health Card, as well as proof of residency in WACH's service area. Health Point provides basic health screening to clients as needed. The Wareham Area for the Homeless also is instrumental in running the Nights of Hospitality, a service which provides a shelter for those in need from late December through March. Shelter includes a hot dinner, a bed, and breakfast. We, the Wareham Board of Selectmen, salute the tireless work you and your members have undertaken. We thank you for your efforts on behalf of the citizens of Wareham, past, present, and future.
Thank you.
One of the thick ones.
You can
Derek.
pass one of those over.
Now we're doing the Knights of Hospitality team leaders. Just one of those, yep. So come on up. Knights of Hospitality. Anybody who provides Knights of Hospitality. You can move the chair up, Pastor. We have certificates for each of the participating,
Did they say who they are?
yes. Could you identify yourselves at the table, please?
Father John Sullivan, pastor of St. Patrick's.
David Shaw from the Church of the Nazarene.
Chuck McCullough, Church of the Good Shepherd.
Pastor Jerry Fernandez, Onset Foursquare Church.
Pastor Dave Ferrari, Emmanuel Assembly.
Thank you. So each of you are being given a certificate that looks like this, but it has your individual church or organization named in it, but they say the same thing. The Knights of Hospitality is a program modeled after successful outreach programs in major cities and towns across the United States. Run by our local churches, staffed by volunteers, and supported by donations from many individuals, churches, and organizations, the program offers local residents a night of shelter from late December to mid-March. From 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., guests are offered a hot meal, a bed, and breakfast. You also offer books, televisions, and movies. Most importantly, guests are offered safe harbor from the elements. This year, the program is supported by 7 organizations, each with its own team leaders. The nights are hosted by 3 local churches, which have the facilities to house people overnight. Each location hosts for a week at a time in a rotating basis. The hosts are volunteers from all of the organizations, again on a rotational basis. There are simple rules for the guests to ensure the safety and comfort of all. As your church building has been a host location for the year 2016, or your church has participated in this program, you have provided an invaluable resource to our community. The most important part of your service to our community has been the companionship of others, a non-judgmental face of fellowship, a smile, a kindness, a night of hospitality. We, the Board of Selectmen, salute you. So. Gentlemen, if you guys, if you will do the first night's hospitality, we'll get you the right, yeah, up against the wall. Move that.
When you have to get real tight, you don't put me in there. I'll let you behind the curtain.
Community Alliance Church. Crossroads Community Church. And anything else? Where's the You have, oh, did I give you one? Okay, you, okay. Who can take the, Eagles? Eagles, okay. All right, so in order to get you all together, the tall guys are going in the back. The short guys are stepping forward. You know if you're tall, let's do it. Okay. Those of you who are facing me right now, gentlemen in purple and wonderful, right, you stay forward. Everyone on this side, go like this. Nice. Nice. Now, scrunch. No, scrunch. You get them all? They're over there. Can you get him?
Everybody in town's gonna come before us at one point.
You realize it's, you know?
One of the important things that we try and, no, go ahead. One of the important things that we are trying to do as selectmen is recognize the resources that this town has, most of which are just plain volunteers. They're you and I and the guys and the gals on the street. And these four, what do you call them, organizations that we've honored tonight have really done a wonderful job of saving people's lives. And we appreciate that. I am now going back to citizens' comments. Did you want to address the board, Mr. Baptiste?
Excuse me?
Did you want to address the board?
Yes, I did.
Please? We're back on citizens' comments.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, town administrator, ladies and gentlemen. Saturday evening, we had a,
Identify yourself for the record,
I'm
sir.
sorry, okay, I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
My name is Stephen Baptiste, and Saturday night, we had a fundraiser for the moving wall. It was the first one that we had since we started this for the benefits. And it was very successful. And my wife made over, her and Suki, Jerry's daughter-in-law, made over 500 meatballs. And the evening started off without any count. We didn't know how many people were coming. On Monday, I was getting ready to cancel it because of the snow and the parking impairment. But anyway, the show went on, and it was one hell of a night. And Judy was one of the waitresses, her and Mary Bruce. They did one hell of a job. And I'm sure we made a lot of money for this occasion, kicking it off. And Judy, if you'd like to, we may have another one. And if you'd want to be the one, Alan Slavin's going to be he'll be here as a waiter, though, he said.
Yeah, Alan's on, he's listening to this, and he already knows that he owes me one.
Alan, she did a good job in replacing you. As daunting as it was, it just, but it was very successful. Money keeps pouring in. I just got another check I gave Bob White for the occasion, and I think it's going to be a lot easier. People were very generous that Saturday evening. We had a 50-50, which was almost $1,000. And a buddy of mine from Taunton, Roland Hill, he gave back the $480 his prize. So, but shortly thereafter, his wife hit $550 on the Keno. So you give it, and he got it back. And
Yeah.
thank you so much, Roland. If you don't have cable in Taunton, but he knows that I'm talking about this. My wife worked her fanny off, as all of us did. But thank you all that attended, and let's just keep it up with this good support. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
There was one interesting thing with the level of service. How much did you earn in tips that night?
Yeah, I've been asked, and Mary was asked, Mary Bruce. We were the only two waitresses until Angie Dunham came later. Angie has experience as a waitress. She used to work in her dad's restaurant. Mary and I decided long time ago that neither one of us had the temperament to be a pleasant waitress.
Hell, you say.
So we had drinks trays, and we had paper plates, and so I have to say that when I got home, it was the first and only time I've ever been a waitress. Honestly.
First and last.
And Mary too, Mary Bruce as well. And we saw a help wanted sign the next day, and we thought we might go apply and use you as a reference. It was
Let's not
fun.
tarnish his good name.
No, it was fun, and it was exhausting, and thank you very much for hosting it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Go back to,
We're going to the liaison report, which is what we're supposed to do. You're going to do that. You're going to jump forward to that. Let's do it.
yeah, excellent. Yes. No, I want to do this.
You said you wanted to get them done early.
Who's this?
It's the Affordable Housing Trust thing. That's Steve Stewart.
Is the affordable, Steve, Suey, step forward, please. And Peter Sanborn will do you next, I promise. Thank you. Well, I shouldn't promise. I'm going to aim for getting you next, Peter Sanborn. Identify yourselves for the record, please.
Yeah. Good evening. My name's Steve Suey. I'm the chairman of the Affordable Housing Trust.
Hi, I'm Ann McManus. I'm the CEO of Latham Centers.
You are here under Mr. Teitelbaum's report because when we got the information from you, we had already posted the agenda. So the only way that we can allow you to speak is to have Mr. Teitelbaum introduce what it is you're speaking of, and we'll go from there.
Yes, I'll just ask a very general question. What is it and where is it that the Latham Centers are looking to do something in Wareham?
We are in the process, we have purchased land on 165 Great Neck Road in Wareham, and we are proposing to build a home for 4 disabled adults.
Okay, could you describe the nature of the disability your organization deals with?
Sure. Latham Centers we were opened in 1970, and we began as a school for children with developmental disabilities. Over the years, a very unique disorder arose that no one had ever heard of, and it was called Prader-Willi syndrome. And it's a genetic disorder that 1 in every 15,000 individuals contracts, and there's no cure for it. People with this disorder are probably the symptom that they're most known for is they're always hungry. And without programs such as ours, basically they would not live into adulthood. So we are one of the world's leading treatment centers for people with this disorder, and that's one of our specialties.
Do you have any facilities in the area at present that are operating?
Yes, we have one other house in Wareham on Peter Cooper Road.
And how many people live there?
We have 5 individuals living in that home. It might be of interest to you to know that our programs are under the auspices of the Department of Developmental Services, and that's basically how the services are funded through contracts that we have with them.
Thank you.
Do you have a resident?
Staffing?
Yes.
Yes. We have around-the-clock staffing in all of our homes.
Okay.
And each house has their own supervisor as well.
The Affordable Housing Trust did vote unanimously to support this project, and I believe the reason that you're here tonight is to ask the Board of Selectmen for our support as well. Would anybody like to ask any questions under me?
I don't, I mean, it's a shame, but we really didn't get a lot of information. All of a sudden, you know, sort of it comes and, you know, I know it's at 165 Great Neck. I don't know where that is. There's a place in Cooper Drive. I don't know anything about that. I don't know how that's been going over there. And I don't have any input from neighbors or people or anything. And so I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's hard for me to give you an okay one way or the other. You know, I'm here, I think my job as a selectman is to sort of pay attention to my constituents and the public, and I'm not doing them justice without having a lot more information to make these decisions. And I could do some research now that I know what's going on to see whether, you know, I'm not saying I don't support it. I mean, it sounds like a legitimate thing to take care of people. I mean, I get that, but I still need to have some time to deal with this. I don't know that I can go and vote for this without having some time, so.
Well, we don't have an item on the agenda to vote anyway, so it's more or less to get them in and give us information tonight.
And the other thing is that we've got a master plan committee working right now. And we don't know, I mean, I think the master plan committee should be thinking about how and where these things fit into the neighborhood. And not just this, not just you, by the way. There's a whole lot of these kinds of things that come. And Wareham's kind of a place where they come because property value is pretty low. So, you know, you can buy a piece of property anywhere and we can, you know, set up some of these things. But, you know, how and where and when and all that makes a difference, you know, of how we fit these in. And for people, this is gonna be a multifamily unit?
It's going to be a single family.
So it's a single family with 4 people living in the single family?
Right.
See, these are some of the things I don't know either. Yeah, so there's one kitchen, one whatever, and they basically have bedrooms or whatever.
That's correct.
And stuff, see, so there's another thing that I didn't know either. So I think I gotta do a little research before I can jump on board with this thing, if anybody doesn't mind with this.
And certainly, if any of the selectmen would like to come out and visit the house that we're running
Yeah,
at Peter
and see, that
Cooper.
may be something that we need to
I'd be
do, you know,
happy to
just so that
arrange
we
that.
know what's
Sure.
going on. I mean, because, you know, there's a lot of, we've had people come with other ideas too, of kind of put some of these things in. And they really weren't so good for the neighborhoods. And so, you know, this one probably fits in perfectly, but others don't. And so, you know, we've got to be careful and protect the public, or not the public, but the neighborhoods, you know, and the people that live there. And not that saying that this is, I don't want to say that you're in particular, I'm talking about in general.
Sure. And just to assure you, our folks just want to live their lives like anyone else. And they work in the community if they're able to, or they go to day programs. And we're connected with Community Connections. Some of our folks in Wareham go to that program. And they participate in recreational activities. They visit their families. Some of our folks are, you know, again, they just want to live their lives.
Well, I guess anybody does. I mean,
Yeah.
I get that, but I think we need some more to deal with this properly.
Well, again, it's not really an agenda item, so there's no vote that can be taken tonight anyway, so
Okay, well, just my
perhaps
take.
you could keep Chairman Whiteside, you know, apprised
Yeah,
of your
I'm gonna-
progress
I'm
until
gonna
looking into
Cooper-
it.
Peter Cooper, you know what number that is?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I'll give you my card before we part
Okay,
company.
yeah, if you
and-
could,
And
just
maybe you
so-
could give me a call and you could come out
That'd
and
be
visit.
awesome.
Okay, great.
You know, and at some point, when you go forward with this, does this have to have some kind of a public hearing somewhere along the way in the process? Probably not, right?
No.
Just,
I wouldn't think it was just a
When they
building,
come here,
just a
right?
building permit.
right, because,
The one on Peter Cooper was a private residence before it was bought by.
yeah, so you're taking, you know, it is a different use of a private residence, so we've got to think about these things, so, okay, thank you. I appreciate you. If I could have
Very
that
much.
card, it'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for reminding me.
Did Alan have any?
14,
You
thank
need
you.
to,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
14 Peter Cooper Drive. Alan,
It's
Alan,
okay. Is your card in here too?
Yes.
Great. Okay, good, thank you.
Alan, do you have a question?
Again, what is the location of the house?
can you guys
It's
hang on a second?
165 Great Neck. I don't know where that is. I'd have to,
It's
Yeah.
on the corner of Cliffs Road.
Cliffs
You know-
Road?
You know where the old house is that's been abandoned for a long time?
Oh, yeah.
Burgess's house?
Hello?
Irene Burgess's old house?
Yeah, we're trying to narrow it
White
down
house?
for you.
I just want to make
Is it
sure
white?
it's not,
That's
kept
Irene
here at Peter
Burgess's old
Cooper
house.
Road, that's all.
Yeah.
No, it's not near Peter Cooper, it's further down, it's on the way to
Well,
Little
I
Harbor.
remember
on the
Irene.
corner-
I don't remember
It's
Captain
on the
Burgess.
corner of Cliffs
Okay, I know
Road.
where it is.
Huh?
He's okay, he's
If
all
I
set.
can, I just want to make a statement,
Think,
that's all.
you're going to make a statement, or you did make a statement?
No, I will, I just want to make sure the location hasn't changed. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay.
Thank you. No idea what he said. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
I spent some time looking up the organization. I spent time with the location of where they're going to be, because that was my biggest concern, because we've had, problems before with places coming in. And the organization, as far as what they do, is more than satisfactory to me. And the location is not going to have any impact on any adjacent neighbors. I think there may be one other house
somewhere down that road period. There is no subdivision or anything else anywhere near it. So when we do get to actually discuss the vote on it, I no longer have any objections.
Actually, there are 3 houses on that road that it corners on, and
Yeah, I'm looking at just the one that goes farther back inside. That's it.
I can tell you that I've been there,
Wait,
so.
why don't we wait till we actually have
Yeah,
zoning
I
maps in
mean,
Okay,
front of
so,
us?
yeah.
The
Well,
lots.
let's not give a hard time. I mean, nobody wants to give a hard
No.
time. We just want to make sure that we've covered ourselves, that's all.
Yep, so it will be coming back before us.
Yeah.
Mr. Slavin.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Sanborn, please.
I'll go and take a look at it tomorrow.
Mr. Sanborn, at my request, gave us an elementary outline because I didn't want us to come here without having the packet that he was not quite ready to give us. So you have had this information about how the CDBG grant would be allocated. But Mr. Sanborn, I'd like you to identify yourself for the record, please, sir, and then do your presentation, please.
Yeah, I'm Peter Sanborn. I'm the Acting Director of the Community and Economic Development Authority. So the annual CDBG grant application funding round, the application deadline is March 10th. I had originally intended to come before you next Tuesday with a pretty detailed budget. But when I learned on Wednesday that you were not planning to meet here, at least next Tuesday, then I consulted with the chairwoman. So the town is eligible to apply for $675,000 for the fiscal 2017. That's federal fiscal year appropriation. That is a decrease from what the town has recently been eligible to receive. The last 2 funding rounds, you were eligible to receive $825,000. So one reason that the budget is in flux is that, as you know, every year the town selectmen support funding several social service programs, nonprofit agencies and things, and we issue a request for proposals for those on the assumption that I was coming to you next week. Those proposals were due this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So we haven't reviewed the proposals for their merits, but we received 7 separate proposals from 6 organizations for a total funding request by them of slightly more than $187,000. It's on the top of page 2. And I've summarized what those funding requests are for. The town this year is able to commit $135,000. So some are going to have to be, at least one organization is going to have to not be funded because the state puts a limit of funding only 5 organizations. We received 6 responses for 7 programs. So there's a ad hoc volunteers from the CETA board who will be reviewing these proposals, and I'm hoping that we'll sit down on Monday and finalize the agencies that we would recommend for inclusion in the grant application. So the social services, it appears now, when I wrote this up originally, the budget on page 3 and the email that you received earlier, that was before the deadline. We did not know how many proposals we were receiving, so I was taking a guess, frankly, at the lower number. So I think that with both the CETA boards and the Board of Selectmen's agreement, we would fund social service programs to the maximum that we could at $135,000.
I have a couple of questions.
Can he go through his whole presentation and then we go back to the questions?
Absolutely.
I think that would be easier.
Okay,
That's
If
fine, yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
so, there are two other activities that we're recommending for inclusion in the grant this year. One is the continuation of the housing rehabilitation program. You know, and my budget estimate was 312 to 260,000. Those ranges seem strange. I realize when you look at them alone, but if another activity is higher, then a particular activity will be at a lesser amount. So we do have a continuing demand, and while we don't have at any point in time a lengthy waiting list, we always have ongoing demand. Right now, we have approximately 10 applications that are waiting to be processed and funded, and those should take up all of our existing funds, I would say, except for probably some portion of the current grant funds. So we're finishing up the 14 grant. We're about 50% of the way through the 15 grant. We're still early on in the 16 grant. All of the funds are committed for 14, should be expended for housing rehab by the end of the month. We have 100,000 budgeted for housing rehab under the 15 grant. We have either under contract or projects earmarked that right now are about 80 of that $100,000. We've already funded one small project out of the 16 grant. So I think that just with not receiving any more applications, and we always continue to receive applications, there's clearly strong ongoing demand. The third item I'm recommending is that the town put in a funding request to complete a ADA transition plan. That's Americans with Disabilities Act transition plan, which was actually mandated by the ADA Act of 1990. All municipalities in the country were supposed to have transition plans completed by 1992. Wareham does not. You're by no means not alone. Thousands of communities across the country do not have transition plans. What transition plans are is just what the name implies. It's how you transition not just your facilities, but your programs to ensure that they are accessible to persons with disabilities. A lot of people think of ADA as solely architectural barrier removal and a very costly thing. It is not necessarily that. But an ADA transition plan requires the community to look at its physical facilities, buildings, parks, playgrounds, all facilities that are open to the public, look at its programs and services that it delivers, and look at its policies to ensure that they do not discriminate. ADA is not a building code, it's a civil rights law. The absence of having an ADA plan can potentially put a town at a greater liability for a complaint than if you had one. Moreover, I think there are two other reasons why it's compelling to include this in this grant application. For the first time, as of this grant application, the Mass Office on Disability, another state agency, has entered into some agreement with DHCD, I'm not sure exactly what, by which they're requiring towns as part of their grant application to submit their transition plans or to acknowledge that they will complete one within a certain time period. That time period has not been specified yet, but it's effectively, it appears it's going to be a requirement that coming down the road, there's going to be a threshold to gain funding under this program. The third reason I think it's compelling to do it this year is you are a mini entitlement, as you know, which puts you in a non-competitive, you're able to get funding if a request is reasonable and is eligible and it meets certain criteria. DHCD has said that all mini entitlement communities are going to be up for review next year. They may continue it. You may continue to be a mini entitlement. The HCD may retire the mini entitlement designation completely, and then you would be in the situation where all but 11 communities, all but 11 non-entitlement communities are in the state. You're one of 11 who are mini entitlement. All the other smaller and mid-sized communities in the state apply for these funds on a competitive basis. And in looking at it sort of strategically, I'm thinking, get it now. You need to get it now for other reasons, but get it done now when you do not need to apply for it competitively, because it may not be the strongest competitive request down the road. They have funded them for other communities on a competitive request, but this to me is, I'm looking at this as minimizing risk for the town. So,
Thank you.
be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you very much. Mr.
Yeah, okay, so who was on the list? Like, I think, I seem to remember that the Boys and Girls Club are asked all the time, so they're sort of been in here a lot, right? So they requested, is it that they requested 47 and you're suggesting 35? Is that what?
No,
you
no.
No, what is going on here?
They requested 47.
Okay,
No decision has been made as to,
so you don't have any dollar amounts? Just the
not at this
request,
point.
these are
Not
just
at
the
this
request
point.
numbers?
These are solely requests.
Okay, so,
Totaling 135.
okay, so what other organizations have been here in the past, been dropped, or what other organizations have been added that haven't requested in the past?
All of the organizations listed here, except for the Council on Aging, which is on page 3, have received funding at some level in the past.
Okay, so, Watch, Gatra's course, what is this, Damien's Place, you've given them money in the
Right,
past.
right.
The library, and the only one that you haven't given money to is the Council on Aging.
Right,
Okay.
Previously, they also gave money to the Christopher Donovan School.
right. And we gave money to
4,
the
5.
South Shore Women's Resource Center for domestic violence prevention and counseling services. So, in the past, so we took a different approach this year, for good or for bad. It's going to make our job more difficult here as we evaluate these. But in the past years, we've said, this is the amount of funding you can apply for. 25,000 or 35,000. Send in a request for that amount. We took the tack this year to give them a range of funding options from 10,000 to up to 50,000. Put in a request based on what your need is. Tell us what your need is and what you can deliver within the grant period.
Okay.
And
You said
in
there were
fact, one
5?
organization here came in for a lesser amount this year than they were funded for in previous years.
So 5, you said there's 5 you're allowed, or is it 6?
5.
So 5, but there's 6 here, right? 1,
That's
2,
right.
3, 4, 5, 6. So So someone here is
There are
not,
6 organizations, 7 programs, so the Council on Aging came in with 2 separate funding requests.
okay. So you have 7 requests for 5 spots.
Right,
Okay.
And you received these at 4 o'clock today?
yes,
Yes, they did.
And you got it in a document with a summary for us?
I did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's a pretty good job.
I'm not gonna make the cut.
Yeah, I mean, look, the other question I have one more. All right, so I'm looking at the cost of the programs,
Yeah.
170,000, I'm taking the lesser of the numbers. The 170,000,
Where are you looking? Oh, yeah, okay.
that's the total, it says program delivery and general administration
Right.
charge.
Right.
That's about 25.5%.
That's right.
I thought 18% was the max we were allowed.
18% used to be the maximum for general administration. So there are 2 parts to what is the overall administrative budget. One is program delivery, the other is general administration. General administration, the max had been 18%. It is now, as of this year, it's down to 15%. It's been reduced by 3 percentage points.
And that's general
And
admin?
so, and
General
what's,
administration, right.
and program delivery, that's,
Those are costs, staffing-related costs, directly related to carrying out or overseeing an activity, a project.
okay. And does that have a cap on the amount?
That does not have a cap per se, but the total guidance by DHCD is that combined program delivery and general admin should not exceed 27%. That 182.5 represents 27%.
Yeah,
So both of these
I took the
figures
lesser
also.
number, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
both of these figures are also a substantial reduction from the recent past years.
Any
All
other-
right, so, well, I just have one statement, I guess, left.
Well, okay, can we,
You want to get more questions?
yeah,
and
more
then I'll-
questions?
okay,
Mr.
good.
Scasiotti? No? Titlebaum?
If I could,
Can we ask a question? Look, can we get these questions
Yeah.
out of the way
Sure.
first, please?
Yeah, I am glad to see again, the unfortunate term slum and blight, the designation for Wareham. It would be a shame if we allowed the prior study that has proven somewhat useful in some aspects to lapse without the ability to keep it and to use that information and to simply update it, which I think is what your proposal here would represent, would be an updating of that rather than having to start all over again should it fully lapse.
that's right.
And so I think that's a cost-effective use of that money. There's a lot of work that's been done there. There's a lot of work that I think is going to be done there going forward, hopefully through CETA, but also possibly through CPC funding. And I think it's a good idea to keep that study current so that in the next 10 years we can do some stuff down there. So
Just so that the phones don't ring off the hook, can you tell me when the slum and blight evaluation on onset will be done?
It will be beginning this spring,
This spring of 2017.
yes, and it
So
should
there
be
is-
done later in 2017.
So there is one in the works, and it will be done by the end of the summer.
I expect it will be done by the end of the year and probably in the fall sometime.
So onset has been taken care of in the current,
That's correct,
thank you.
under the 16 grant.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
The sad part about the slum and blight thing is that you have to pay so much to get it done.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I mean, this here is already in place and we're just extending it. The other one was what, $200,000 or something we had to spend?
220,000.
Which is just, you wonder, what are they thinking? Okay, we're gonna give you some money, but in order to get this designation, we're gonna take it away.
Mr. Sullivan, did you have a question?
But it's a labor-intensive process because you have to do a block by block and a parcel by parcel conditions analysis of properties. So
Thank you.
One of the things that I had seen in the past was we had salaried employees in certain positions, and whether they did and a couple of them there, whether they did one housing rehab or 20, they were paid a salary. We have that set up differently now, with at least one portion of it where they are paid when they're per completion of each one of these. So you could have somebody that in the past we had it where you could have had it where I think 8 were done in a year, and you were paying a fortune. So it's there's been thoughts that hourly rates different than per completion. Frankly, I like getting it done per completion and having them done and knocked off.
Yeah, I mean,
Excellent. I do have one question. Are you done with yours, sir? Okay. These numbers are malleable, and I guess I would ask you the question of if you were to cut back on, not the ADA transition, because I don't think we have any leeway there at all. Would it be the housing rehab or the public services? That puts you
It
on
would
the
be the
spot.
housing, it would be either the housing rehab or the program delivery and general administration.
So not the public services.
No.
I know which way you'd choose, so. But the, so that's what all the ranges are there.
That's right.
So you are looking, I'm sorry. So you are looking for,
I mean, I think
sorry, I
on
didn't let
a,
you speak, yeah.
excuse me, on a quick and dirty request, a review of these proposals, you know, they all are compelling to some extent. So I can't see not funding these at the maximum as it is. Someone is going to be unfunded and others are going to have to be reduced to get into the 135. And we signaled that, so to the board I should say, we advertised this, we put it on the town's website, so this was an open process. You know, and in the request for proposals we submitted, we said, you know, we have these limitations. You need to be prepared to work with us if necessary to reduce the budget so we still have a viable project with you. So we signaled that early on for every applicant.
excellent. I believe that you're looking for 4 motions, 4 actions, according to what you
Yes.
said. Okay. The first one is to endorse the proposed 2017 grant activities described above, and that would be a generic, these are what we think are a good idea.
So moved.
second.
Motion made by Titlebaum, seconded by Tropiano. All those in favor of number 1, which is to endorse the 2017 fiscal year grant activities as described. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it is.
Alan?
I'm going to abstain because the information just came to me today, and I have no way of looking through it properly.
Okay,
Thank you.
401.
401. The second is to authorize the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to take all actions required in the submission of the grant application. In other words, I need to get your authority to sign my name.
So moved.
There's only one thing that, you know, when the final numbers come out, I'd like to have a shot to at least look at the final numbers that you approve.
I don't have a problem with that, do you,
You know
sir?
what I mean, before you actually sign the grant, you know what I mean? Just in case there's anything that we think that, you know, so who knows what'll come out eventually, you know what I mean? Maybe it comes out fine and everything's great, but just so we have a little look at it, you know what I mean?
You're
Or I
talking
have
about
a little look at it.
the public services
Yeah,
portion?
yeah, I just like to know what the final numbers are before before she signs the grant, you know?
We will certainly apprise you of that.
I would
and
appreciate
ask for
that.
your concurrence, I guess.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Second,
Who made the motion?
I did.
Peter.
Okay, Peter, to authorize the chairman to take all actions required in the submission of the grant application. Motion made by Peter, Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Mr. Tropiano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alan?
Abstain.
401. to designate Derek Sullivan, Town Administrator, as the Environmental Certifying Officer.
So
And
moved.
no, you do not get a raise. Motion made by
Derek?
Derek Sullivan.
As the Environmental Service Officer? Aren't you that now?
Yeah, you have to do it
Yes,
forever.
he
Every
is.
every
Do it
grant.
every
He
year.
I
is.
think he is now. We have
Just
to
say
do that
second.
every year?
Yep.
Second.
Can I object?
No?
No.
No.
All those in favor of designating Derek Sullivan as the Environmental Certifying Officer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Alan?
I vote yes on this one.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. And then, we also needed authorization to, the commitment of available program income to complete a slums and blight inventory related.
And related, the word is missing.
Complete a slums and blight
Inventory and related documentation.
inventory and related documentation in order to obtain renewed designation of Wareham Village as a blighted area.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Mr. Scasiotti, say aye.
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 Abstain- Against? Abstaining, Alan, or are you gonna vote for it?
I
This is-
vote affirmative on this one.
Thank you. 5-0-0.
I guess that's it.
Yes. I want to say thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Peter, for coming.
Yes, and for really being able to put together something quite extraordinary on a short time frame.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, thanks.
Okay,
Got the regular, the votes to recommend
yep,
on the regular?
yep. You each have a grid for the Selectmen FinCom recommendations for the 2017 regular town meeting. Numbers 18, 19, and 20 are on hold. 18 because of town council's advice, and 19 and 20 because we don't have them yet. But everything else we have had in front of us.
I move that we, what is the term we're using now?
Don't know.
Okay, how about,
What's the term we're using now?
we do 1 through...
1 through-
17
Exactly.
and 21 inclusive.
But what's the terminology?
That we vote to recommend
Recommend, there we
passage.
go.
You like that? Is that your
Yes,
motion?
And
Second.
that's what I was gonna say, 1
All
through
right.
17, 1 through
Recommend
21.
passage? Is that your
Yep.
terminology?
Recommend, yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Mr. Tropiano, 1 through 17 and 21, that the Board of Selectmen would be recorded as recommending passage of the articles.
You got that, Alan?
Yep.
Are there any questions, concerns? All those in favor of voting in that manner, which is recommending passage of all of those 18 articles? Say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? It is unanimous. For
Alan?
5-0-0, Alan?
Yes.
Thank you. And again, 18, 19, and 20 are not before us because we don't have the information. The next thing I'd like to talk about quickly is the grid on the special town meeting warrant. First of all, I'd like you to, on the union contract ones, that's going to be, we have 4 union contracts, and that's going to be in one article. Okay?
Always is.
Yes. So, this is to include it on the warrant. It would be one article to confirm
Says-
Union contracts.
union contracts.
We don't even need to get into the specifics at this point.
That's correct.
No, we don't.
So I'll accept a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Motion made by Tropiano, seconded by Titlebaum, to include those 4 contracts under one article. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Alan?
Actually, I think the motion was just for one article. We don't know yet exactly what will be included, because I don't know that they've all been negotiated.
Okay, so.
So that's what the motion was, just
Yeah,
to
no, when we
clarify.
do it as one article, you'll
Right,
see
yeah.
A, B, C, D.
Yes,
exactly.
but yes, thank you. Alan, did you vote, how did you vote, sir?
I just have a question in here clear that these are basically contracts that are pending that may or may not be approved by this particular time.
I can't hear.
I don't
we
understand.
couldn't understand
This
you.
is to put it on the warrant, sir.
These are placeholder articles, Alan. None of these have come before the Board of Selectmen to be ratified.
Thank you. I'll vote yes.
Thank you.
You just did, thanks.
Do we need a budget transfers article, sir?
Yes.
The first one, the budget transfers, may I have a recommendation?
Move to include budget transfer.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion made by Titlebaum and seconded by Tropiano, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Thank you. 500. Stabilization, do I need that in there?
No.
No.
Not
So
yet.
that, strike that from there. The CPC reserve funds have been discussed previously, and the figures have been given to us previously.
Move to include.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum and seconded by Mr. Scasiotti to include the CPC fund reserves on the warrant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining,
Alan?
Yes.
Thank you.
500. The Westfield softball field bleachers as a CPC article, we've had the details from that as well.
Move to include.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Mr. Scasiotti to include that article on the special town meeting warrant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Alan?
Yes.
It is unanimous.
We'll hold off on the next two because we need the petitioners.
Yeah, I want to wait for
Yep.
those.
Yeah, neither one of those is, well, actually, one of them may be ready, but I don't have them. So, okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Any other town business reasonably anticipated or whatever?
No, we have to, 48-hour business? No.
No 48-hour business, nope. Alan, any 48-hour business?
I don't think so.
Who should we ask?
No.
I have no idea.
Town administrators report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are part of the, if you will, the Regional Refuse Disposal District with Carver, Marion, and Wareham. We did receive notification that in FY18, they're going to be assessing between the three towns a total of $173,000. That's a big change. That's off of their budget of $554,900, of which, when they took the tonnage of the three districts, Carver represented 3,838 tons, Marion 1,680 tons, and Wareham 5,964 tons. So we're approximately 51, they went out 3 decimal places, so 941%, which means we're looking at an assessment of $89,857.93, where we had not been assessed in the past few years of more than maybe $1,200. This is a big hit to receive out of nowhere, and we're going to have to take a look. We sell the dump stickers essentially combined with the beach for almost nothing. My problem is we could separate them again and increase the dump fee, try and see how we could offset it. However, that just goes to the general fund, and given the way we're looking at with the budgets and the requests from everybody, we can't dedicate the revenue to this. So we're going to have to take a moment and think about what we want to do in this case. It's also that location where it's currently at, they potentially could be shutting down within the next 2 years. So we may want to look at doing something locally. So we should probably, what I'd like to see is if I can have one selectman assigned to work with me on this and bring something before the board. You know, we've got 2 representatives, or one on the district. I think Marietta's one, and I thought, who's the other? I think Dave might actually be
It
it.
is,
Yeah.
Did you say
So-
we had less tonnage than the other towns?
No, we had by far, we represent a little over half the total
Okay,
tonnage.
so it's not 5,000,
Yeah.
it's 500,000.
The whole assessment's 554,000.
No, I mean the tonnage.
No. The
You
tonnage
said
is,
5,000 tons, that's not right.
that's what they might be representing tons and thousands. They
Okay,
just,
yeah, because it's gotta be, because it has to be more than 5,000 tons.
so they just
That's a
list,
pretty small amount of trash.
yeah, they only list for
Okay,
each
that's
of
fine,
them.
all right,
so.
it's just a confusion.
Usually you have that little thing that
Yeah,
says, you know,
yeah.
per thousand.
Yeah,
or something.
okay.
So you wanted to volunteer?
Yeah, you know, the bad part about this is it's a sort of a problem, because as soon as you stop or raise fees to bring trash to the dump, then you get people throwing trash out on the side of the road.
No.
Yeah, you do, and I'm telling you, it gets worse as the price goes up. It's just as simple as that. So we are gonna have to look at this. We've gotta come up with something.
It's tough, and you know, of course, the minute we have a new cost to ourselves, it's tough. People don't understand the only way is that gets passed on unless we're generating something else.
$89,000 is a lot of dollars when you get paying $1,200.
Yeah. So, and it was 0 last year. So I'd also, we can speak to them and maybe get Mr. Pickles, the executive director, to meet with us. So.
I'd be happy to volunteer because I was in on the beginning of the Covanta CMAS program, and I'd love to be involved in trash.
Yeah, we still receive revenue from
I haven't
CMAS.
seen Ray around here in a long, long time. Mr. Pickles has been absent since like 2000.
So it would be good to have them. Yeah, because there's 2 things. There's CMAS,
I
from which
know,
we
I
receive
know.
revenue, and Carver, Marion, Wareham refuse. So that's good news that I'm bringing you, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I'm being facetious. On Thursday is the all-day finance committee meeting. It'll begin at 8:30 in the morning. The largest budget, though, will not be a part of it. The WPCF is going to be at a separate night meeting with the FinCom because the Mr. Campino was unable to make it this Thursday, and frankly, I wanted him to present rather than anyone else. It will be in this room, 8:30 in the morning,
Thank you.
and we'll be plying the finance committee with donuts. So,
Not that that'll help you. Did you want to mention the hiring freeze you put in place?
well, we did. Just giving all the good news, but
You
honestly,
might as well. Everybody
it's-
should know
we
what
did.
the situation is.
Last week, I sent out a memo. As we're continuing to go into the FY18 budget, and we know that there's really not much relief unless something happens with healthcare. I've put in a hiring freeze. Anything that's coming forward will need to be reviewed. There's a few that were in the process, that were some public safety ones, so I may let those go through, but anything that's open right now will be frozen, not filled. That does not include some of the seasonals, because we already have the funding for those, and they go through, so the police, the summer seasonals and such, or anything that's paid out of something other than the general fund.
Lateral transfers, neutral, anything that's budget neutral, would that matter? Would it? Would they
Well-
still be not allowed?
We're really, this isn't a direct answer, so I apologize. I'm going to take a look at everything.
Okay.
That's, there's some, if the WPCF has something that would be, they need, if they lost somebody, I'd probably go ahead and allow that to happen, because that's from the user fees and not out of the general fund operating budget.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, just speaking of the budget and the impacts, I just wanted to clarify that earlier, when we voted to recommend passage of the budget at town meeting, that was with your number that had been put in for each of the departments, including the school department.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's his budget
In fact,
anyway.
you know, I'd like to actually poll this board, because we didn't say that in the motion, but it is certainly to, my intention was to support Mr. Sullivan's budget.
Well, he has the right of first presentation to us anyway, so I don't think that's even necessary.
Well, I think
I'd like
by
to hear-
charter, his budget is the only budget. They can amend it on town meeting
Right.
floor, but it's his budget.
But I'd like us to speak publicly as to whether we're prepared to
I'm
support his
prepared to
budget.
do that.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Scarziotti?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
I would support the budget as presented by the town administrator.
Thank you.
Same here.
Same here.
Same here.
So.
Thank you. Do you have anything else?
No, we did receive correspondence from the library trustees requesting additional funds. We've tried, in the budget, you'll notice that it's actually a slight increase over FY17. So in trying to work with them, I hope they understand, whereas the cuts to some of the other departments, including public safety, were deep in this budget, and to not reduce them over the FY17 number and have it, even if it's a few thousand more, I'd like them to understand how much that actually meant to what we were doing. So I was hoping to hear something from them in more of a positive note, but we didn't. Thank you.
Thank you. Liaison reports? You did yours, but,
I have one.
okay.
This Thursday, the sort of ad hoc advisory group to Mr. Buckland regarding Tremont Nail is going to be out there at 9 o'clock to get a look at the buildings. On March 9th, tentatively scheduled at 7 o'clock, there's going to be a public meeting to get public input on Tremont Nail, and that would involve just some discussion of where we are in the grant applications for cleanup, what has to be done for cleanup, and also to get some input from people in terms of what they would like to see there as part of the process going forward with Mass Development and Union Studios as they come up with their recommendations for us.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Slavin?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to comment on Mr. Sullivan. I just want to thank him for his conservative approach to the budget, especially after being up at the State House this past Tuesday, a week ago, and listening to what's going on and what we're looking at. It's extremely important to take a very conservative approach for fiscal 2018, with fiscal 2019 looking worse. Also, I have some concern, which I didn't make a comment right away, is I've been to the dump, which I go to on a weekly basis, usually, or one every 2 weeks. In the last 4 times I've been there, I've watched people commercially dumping stuff there, commercial businesses that are dumping there, and they aren't supposed to be. And whoever decides to go and talk to CMAS, etc., someone needs to really get on the ball there, because there's a lot of stuff being dumped that should be going through a commercial process, not, for residential. And as far as, that's all I have to say there. As far as the regular stuff, I wanted to, the event at Peerview, actually Sandy and I were supposed to be there, and of course for circumstances we weren't able to. So I was basically very happy to volunteer both Mrs. Whiteside and Mrs. Bruce to do the work and at the event. And I'm actually quite happy that we were able to see them develop new work skills. And also, you don't have to thank me for increasing your work skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. I don't think I have any liaison reports, but I do volunteer to do the trash. I'd be happy to be trash lady again.
You're the trashiest.
I am.
Good luck.
Thank you. Do we have any other business to come before this meeting? Is there a second to the motion to adjourn? Excellent. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Good night, Wareham. Thank you very much.
Okay.